And now, your host, Couch Tomato!
Hey, I'm Couch Tomato and I'm joined by
Hulk.
Welcome to Stuff for Movie Buffs, and today we're talking
Oscar nominations, predictions, and snubs.
All right, in January, this is the time of year where we get our Oscar nominations. And not last week, but the week before last week, we actually talked about how January is polluted with horrible movies. So we asked you guys to send in some audio. A lot of you guys sent in some written requests. I really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to be on the show. So we did get something from David, one of our patron supporters. So here's what David thinks about January movies and his favorite January movie release. Kick it off, David.
Hey everyone, my name is Blackleg, and I personally believe that January is the one month where all movies go to die. Case in point, January 2015, me and my friends wanted to go see this movie, Project Almanac, and it was so bad that to this day we still call it Project Almanac. It's for this reason why I believe that January is the worst month when it comes to film releases.
All right, awesome. And huge thanks to the patron supporters. If you're not a patron supporter, head over to our Patreon page. And anything you can help out with, from $1 to $1 billion, it's really up to you. $1 a month would be equivalent to like a movie ticket. So that goes a long way in supporting the podcast. So I'll leave a link in the description. Check that out if you want to support. Also, huge thanks to Big Mike, our newest patron supporter this month. Huge thank you for your support. All right, so let's kick it off. So now, January, they released the Oscar nominations. Have you gotten a chance to look at them, Hulk?
Yeah, I got a chance.
All right, cool. You know, I'll admit it, and I think I admitted it last year as well. I've never watched an Oscar episode, from beginning to end. I think the only year I tuned in was when Seth hosted, and that's when they kind of tried to shake it up, and I thought a lot of the younger viewers liked it, and they never brought him back because a lot of the old school cats didn't. But it's just never really been, my cup of tea, and I'm a huge movie buff, but I rather watch the highlights, the day after. And I can't sit through an Oscar award or whatever. It's just not really my cup of tea. But I do get excited every time I hear the nominations. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to try to predict some of these winners. And that's always been tough doing with Oscar awards in the past because of snubs, also unlikely heroes. So first off, let's jump into snubs. Like, is there anybody left off of this list that you thought should have received some type of nod from the Oscar nominations?
Coming from the comic book movie world, the first thing that comes to mind will be Wonder Woman. I'm not sure where the picture got nominated. I don't think it should have been like Best Picture. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, the team behind it, Patty Jenkins, even Zack Snyder as a co-producer, they did a phenomenal job with that movie. I felt they should have got some recognition within all the categories. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it was with editing, maybe it was with music score.
The awards that nobody cares about.
But still, even with Patty Jenkins, maybe it should have been Best Director.
Like, I don't know. You saw that list of Best Directors, right?
I did. But I still feel like Patty Jenkins should have got, the team, everything behind Wonder Woman should have got some kind of recognition. I don't feel like it should have just been shut out completely. And I feel like, just looking at the list, I felt like they were snubbed. I think I actually don't have any problems with the lists as is. It's the most diversity I've seen in a long time. I had to do a double take because I thought I was watching a Golden Globe list. Like, I'm like, what? All this diversity? What's wrong with the Oscars? So some films may not be in the category that you want them, but they're in at least one category. So I'm just like you. I don't personally care what category it's in. I just wanted some of the films to get love. So all the studios got, and the way I look at Oscar snubs, I always look at studios. So Warner Brothers has to get love. Disney has to get love. Basically Universal has to get love. Your big sixes your big four has to get love. And the only thing that's missing is Paramount is a pretty big studio, and I don't think they got any nominations across the board, but they also didn't really release a lot of Academy Award winning type movies this year. But
I'm not gonna agree with you on the Wonder Woman thing because I don't know if that's like a movie that I think that's Oscar worthy. But the movie that I felt like they got it right, and you're constantly saying that I'm hating on this film. I do think Logan is the future of comic book movies. Like I think they're gonna start doing more serious tone films like that, and that's gonna gain the Academy's respect. So I actually like to see that film in a category because it got shown some love, and I don't know if it's gonna win, but I do definitely think that's a step in the right direction because everybody's thinking that comic book movies are gonna fall off, and I'm like, nope, they're gonna take some of the serious subject matter from the comics and they're gonna start making Academy Award winning films in the next 5 years from now. So Logan and Fox were just ahead of the curve, but if you had to pick one comic book movie that was like on par with some of the Academy Award winning films or nominated films, excuse me, I think Logan's that one. I don't think that you could fit two in there.
In that degree, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I just felt like with what they did with everything, you know what I'm saying, like just from production value, you know what I'm saying, like I'm saying Logan was probably like the closest to me as far as performances with Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman. I can't compete with that aspect, but at the same time, I really felt like maybe Patty Jenkins, maybe some of the editing, maybe some of the music, maybe some of the cinematography. I felt like Wonder Woman should have got recognized in that respect. You know what I'm saying? But as far as Best Picture, I can't argue with that. As far as some of the performances compared to Gal Gadot, I can't argue with that. But just some certain aspects, I felt like it was a snub.
I feel you, but I don't feel you, so I'm lying because production-wise, I mean, we've seen it before with the first Avenger. I like what they did, but it's not like I haven't seen it before. Script-wise, it's a pretty solid story, but it's nothing I've never seen before. The performances were great based off of our expectations. And when I say I really mean you guys, because I really didn't expect Gal Gadot to like bomb, but she did exceed my expectations though. So people went in with zero expectations, but when you talk about Academy nominated films, I don't know if you could put it into any category. So, but Logan, I'm like, nah, the performances were strong, story was solid, so you could even give it, because that's what it's nominated for, adapted screenplay. I think that's perfect for it. So actually, it might win, who knows. But let's get into some of these predictions right now. So the topics that we're going to cover are Best Picture, Lead Actor, Lead Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Director, Animated, and Original Screenplay. So we're going to try to predict those. Like I said, the Oscars that people care about. All right, so for the nominees for Best Picture, Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I'm unwrapping my envelope. Here's my prediction. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
For Best Picture, I'm going with Get Out. Let me hear yours, and then we'll discuss.
The funny thing is, I agree with you. And I think
the only reason I said let me hear yours is because I knew we would agree. I don't think it's close. I'm confused at how this movie didn't win a Golden Globe. That's the only thing that makes me a little worrisome, bro. It didn't win a Golden Globe, but remember the whole categories were messed up. I remember they had it in comedy and stuff like that. So some of that is because the way the categories are set up. However, the Oscars voting has always been political to me. And you remember Oscar So White campaign 2 or 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So Get Out is the best picture in the category, and if it doesn't win, it's the only like I said, it's political. The only reason it won't win in this category is if it wins in one or two other categories, because it's nominated in 3 categories, I believe. At least 3 of the categories that we're discussing today. So if it doesn't win, it's something political, and the voters are like, I'm voting for this for like Best Original Screenplay. So I'm not really going to give it to Best Director. I'm not going to give it Best Picture. But I do believe that it's the best picture by far. So, I mean, that's my take on it. You agree with me?
I feel
Tell
like
me
it's
why
the
you
most
agree.
complete movie. I don't think necessarily it has the best performances, like compared to some of these other films that's on this list. But I feel like what it did during the month of February, what it did throughout the whole year, just the run that it had, like it really set the tone for not only horror films, but just films in general. Like it really ignited something as far as creativity. It's one of the rare films, just like it was something new. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't something rebooted. It wasn't something that a biography or anything like that. It was just creativity from the director, from the writing team. Like, it really hit the notes that it needed to hit. And I feel like, yes, this is the best picture of 2017, like given the list that we've given. So absolutely, I agree with you.
It's the most iconic. Even with the win, even with the loss, I think it's going to be a film when you look back 5 years from now, it's going to really be the only film that you really remember from the category.
Without question.
Now, let me not say that, but it's going to be the most defining film of the year. Like the Get Out challenge, it spawned like 3 different challenges. Just the pop culture effect when it's like you're in the sunken place whenever somebody's tripping racially or whatever. So I'm like, no, it's just too many iconic lines. It's just, to me, it's overall impact. When you think of Best Picture, like they're already having college courses on this stuff. So I'm like, nah. Like, so moving along, we agree on that one. Next up, we have Best Leading Actor. And the nominees are Timothy Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out, Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel-esque. You remember, I think I've told you before, I think I've shared it on the podcast before. You remember who my favorite actor is, right?
Not necessarily. This is a good question.
Oh, my favorite actor is Denzel. It's not close.
Okay.
Second, you got I almost called him Luke because of Growing Pains, but Leo. So shout out to all my Growing Pains fans out there. But yeah, so Leo second, and then Gyllenhaal's actually he's like my strong third for me now, just because he's been kind of knocking it out of the ballpark lately. So
yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm not gonna lie, like I show a little bias in regards to Denzel. I haven't even seen the movie yet, so but with this category, and especially me being a Denzel Washington fan, this category is so political because, sometimes Tom Hanks won when he shouldn't have won. There's a couple of years where he stole some from Denzel. And now I think that Denzel's going to start getting that benefit, like to where he's going to start stealing a couple of Oscars from some young bucks. So I felt like Denzel kind of, well, never mind. I felt like Leo's kind of been on the short end of the stick of that too. But I guess this category, it's easier for me to tell you who won't win first. Because Timothy and Daniel Kaluuya, they're not winning. They're not going to beat out the older folks.
You really think so? I think I'm kind of disagreeing with you. Like,
you think they got a shot in this?
Not
after what you saw. Like, one thing about the Academy Awards, man, they do not like young bucks. You see what happens to Jake. You see what happens to Leo. Like, they make you earn it, at least from the actor side. Because sometimes I think we've seen the only time I remember seeing up and coming like young bucks win it is really on the actress side. Because it's been a couple of like Dreamgirls and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, Precious and stuff. I'm like, what? She really beat out some of the old heads. I rarely see that on the male side to where they're like, nah, you're gonna have to earn your stripes. So I don't think that is. I think that's fan service. Yeah, they had good performances. Daniel's, I don't think I think the overall story of Get Out was better than the actual performances. You said that earlier, so I'm taking words out of your mouth, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the voters think that I think with both of those young guys, the voters think that they'll get an opportunity in the future, especially Timothy. I think Timothy is going to be one of those guys where you look back on his career, and you're going to be like, wow, he's been around for a while, kind of like Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Christian Bale, he's been around since he was a kid. People didn't really start paying attention till he got older, and I think you're going to see that with Timothy. Like, oh, that's the young buck from Interstellar. Wow, like he's been around for a minute, and I think he has a strong career ahead of him. And I think some of the voters think that way too. Like, nah, these guys are going to get another swing of the bat. Let me just give it away to one of the old heads. Speaking of experience, Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, and Denzel Washington, only one of those folks have never won an Oscar, and I think Gary might walk away with his first victory this year.
He should win, to be honest.
So how you gonna agree with me, but then you just gonna disagree with me that Timothy and Daniel had no shot?
Okay, listen. With Daniel, I don't feel like he has a shot, but I felt like Timothy, given the buzz that Call Me By Your Name has gotten over like the past few months, I felt like that film is gonna get recognized some way. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard for it to win in certain categories. So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, it can get Best Actor. But like you said, I really feel like this is Gary Oldman's time, given his performance, given his transformation within that character. Like that's one of the best.
But look at
Transformers
Denzel's
I've seen.
transformation too.
That too.
Yeah, because that's the one thing. That's the one thing I think the Academy doesn't look at as much anymore. Like, because Christian Bale played it out. It's like, okay, look how he had to change his whole physique for this role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they look at that anymore as much. And to me, that's remarkable. Like when the person is unrecognizable.
Yeah.
So, but the only reason why I'm looking at Daniel Day-Lewis, okay, you got 3. Denzel, you got 1 lead. Yeah, 1 lead, 1 supporting. So, this time I'm like, all right, Gary is no, because Gary is one of those names where you think of like, okay, he's on your, well, Mount Rushmore has not 4 names, but it has like out of the 20 faces on Mount Rushmore. So I'm gonna extend the monument.
He's there. Yeah, 20 at least. He's there.
Yeah, he's one of those, and you're like, wow, he doesn't have an Oscar win yet. So no, like they're gonna give it to him, even with from a sympathy perspective. But he also deserves it, and I think he took away the Golden Globe. So some of that stuff is copycat sometimes. Like when you look at the Golden Globe, it can't predict who's going to win the Oscar, but sometimes they're on par. And I agree with that vote that Gary might take it home. So let's do a little change of pace and look at the lead actress. So the nominations for lead actress are Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water; Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri; Margot Robbie, I, Tonya; Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird; Meryl Streep, The Post. And this, whoever wins it this year, I'm pretty sure the voters are thinking it has to be like, remember, it's human beings making these votes. You feel me? So I think they're always mindful and they have a sense of the temperature in the culture to where whoever wins it this year, it's going to be an iconic win because women have really stepped into the forefront in regards to entertainment. You got the whole Me Too movement and everything, but just the last 2 years, but 2018 I think is going to be the biggest year where we see like the progression of equal opportunity for women and stuff like that. So this win I think is going to symbolize a lot of those movements that have been taking place for like equal pay, stop sexual harassment and ending Hollywood's dark culture to how they treat women and glass ceilings all over the industry. Like this, like when you look at Oprah's speech, I think the Academy is going to try to mimic that. So like whenever she's in the category, no matter how the role is, she's like basically, I'm going with Meryl Streep. She's like the Tom Hanks of the Oscars, or Tom Hanks is the Meryl Streep of the Oscars. Another analogy, since we're at the end of the football season, Tom Brady is the Meryl Streep of Super Bowls. So I think it's not even close. I think the winner's going to be Meryl Streep. Whenever she's in the category, it's tough to bet against her. So that's who I'm going with. And I think the Academy is going to really try to orchestrate an Oprah moment for their awards ceremony.
It's like, it's hard for me to argue against Meryl Streep, but I feel like Margot Robbie, just like the energy that she brought with I, Tonya, I feel like she might be at win. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel like Streep is the favorite.
I think she should have. I think she actually could have got supporting for Wolf of Wall Street, but she's another one of those actresses. I think she's another one of those actresses where it's like,
we'll give it to her another time.
Yeah, like, and also, remember what I told you about that Eddie Murphy rule, where you make them dumb movies and that you.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like when you make those dumb movies, it's gonna take a while for the Academy to forgive you for it. And Suicide Squad. Will Smith is going to be... Will Smith dug his grave for like 5 years.
She was the best part. She was the best part of Suicide Squad. I was Will Smith.
Well, asterisk on the word best. But nah, I'm thinking with the way they think, it's like, nah, she ain't get that. You talking about the chick from Suicide Squad? No, she's not going to get it yet. But yeah, there is a lot of buzz around that movie. I think it's made the best push for like, really promoting itself well towards... the Academy, but I don't think she's gonna win lead actress. I don't see that happening. If I'm wrong though, I'm not gonna be surprised because like I told you, I think she should have got supporting already. So I've been taking her serious for a minute. Sometimes she's in bad movies, but rest assured, she's a good actress. So let's get into supporting actor. By the way, I never get these right. Like when it comes to supporting actor, I already told you who I thought should have won, the Wolf of Wall Street year. But every year I try to guess supporting actor or actress. I'm always wrong. I always get it wrong. And I don't know if I'm getting it wrong or the Academy just isn't voting right. So this year, my picks are straight eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Here are the nominations for supporting actor. Willem Dafoe, The Florida Project. Woody Harrelson, 3 Billboards. Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water. Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World. Sam Rockwell, 3 Billboards. All right, so interesting part with this category, 2 nominations for 3 Billboards. You see that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm narrowing my pick down to that because if you got 2 nominations in one category and you walk away with no trophy, something's up. So now it's all about who do you think's more deserving? Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell. I've always felt Sam Rockwell was like an unsung hero. Like a lot of people don't really look at his resume. And when you do, he's been putting solid performances, supporting performances for years. And I don't think he gets the recognition of Hollywood. I think this is going to be his year and it's going to put him over the top. But watch it go to Woody Harrelson with my track record. So I would like to see Sam Rockwell walk away with this one.
Yeah. Same here. With Sam Rockwell, I agree with you. Like just given this list, and it's funny, this is weird because compared to the other lists, like you don't see I, Tonya, you don't see Lady Bird, you don't see Darkest Hour, you don't see Get Out. It's very unique of itself. So I would have to agree with you as far as Sam Rockwell getting the nod.
All right, so let's get down to the supporting actresses. Shout out to Netflix. You got Mary J. Blige, Mudbound, Allison Janney, I, Tonya, Leslie Manville, Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf, Lady Bird, Octavia Spencer, The Shape of Water. And the reason I say shout out to Netflix is showing you a changing of the guard. Like last year, Manchester by the Sea was it's Amazon Prime original, right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think so, yeah.
I'm not really sure about that. I just always thought it was an Amazon Prime original. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it did. I'm checking now. It says distributed by Roadside Attractions and Amazon Studios. So regardless if they put it in theaters or not, that's an Amazon Prime property.
Gotcha.
And I think that's amazing. It shows you like the last 2 years it's been leaps. They've kind of moved that industry forward leaps and bounds because you got like Will Smith, Brad Pitt doing original content for these studios. So they have the budget to pay these actors, and now actors don't have to shy away from it thinking that, well, I only do Oscar-worthy type pictures. No, you could still get that same opportunity from Netflix, Amazon, or any other streaming platforms. I think that's amazing. So in regards to a win, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Mary J. Blige is going to walk away with an Oscar. So it would be nice though, because she's walked away with some Grammys in the past, and I just like seeing.
Not even a possibility. Her transformation is remarkable too.
I feel you, but do you think it's getting a lot of buzz? What's so odd is I think the main actor, the dude who played Eazy-E, I forgot his real name, but the dude who played Eazy-E on Straight Outta Compton, and he was also one of the soldiers from Kong Skull Island. He did some interviews when I think he should have been promoting this film, but he was performing Shy. He was promoting Shy. So like the way that they're promoting this film, like Netflix it doesn't really look like they're doing rounds to like really get some like Academy Award winning votes. And with Mary J. Blige, it seems like she's promoting more of her music content. Like I've heard a couple interviews about her recently, and I'm thinking she's supposed to be promoting the Oscar nominations. But keep in mind, the Oscar nominations just came out, but typically you see them doing their press runs before the Oscar nominations are released. And all I've heard is Mary J. Blige talking about her divorce. So that's the only reason why I'm like, well, Netflix isn't even really stunning this film like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Given like the recent articles I've seen, like I haven't really seen Mud Round, Like I've seen on Shade Room, it was just Mary J. Blige in her ex. I agree.
Exactly. But then look at the source. I don't know if you're gonna be talking about. Yeah. So I'm like, I've seen a couple interviews from the Eazy-E. I gotta get that guy's real name because he's actually gonna be a nice little actor going forward too. But from Breakfast Club to Variety and all these other interviews and stuff like that, I've seen them talking about more of Shy than actual Mudbound. So who's going to? I'm almost going to take away the names of the act because remember, I think it's all political. What I'm going to do, and I'm telling you my strategy, I'm removing the names of the actresses, okay? And I'm just looking at the films because I do think that the voters do this. They look at, okay, I'm not going to vote for you for supporting actor or lead actress or lead actor or best picture, but I'll give you a supporting actress vote. And that's the only reason why I'm like, I don't think Tanya's going to walk away with enough awards as they should. And that's the only reason I'll go with Allison Janney, mainly because kind of like process of omission, it's not strong enough for, like the other categories that it's nominated in.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you, but I'm going with the opposite thought processes, like where it's like I feel like Lady Bird won't get that recognition, so I feel like
same thing. Yeah,
so I
it's
feel
not
like
winning Best Picture.
Excuse me, not Allison Janney. Laurie Metcalf will get it for Lady Bird, because I feel like even though I'm not sure how to name, but Saoirse Ronan, like I feel like she's always been someone that I've really admired, given like her young age and how she came in the game, and she's a real talented actress. But I feel like Margot Robbie should get Best actress or whatever. So I feel like that's with that, and then I feel like
but if I'm correct, if I'm going, it looks like you got. Oh no, you picked Lady Bird. Never mind. All right,
yeah,
I see what you did.
I'm flipping
so
it.
You picked Lady Bird for this category and Tanya for lead actress.
Yep.
Not mad at that at all. All right, so go to directors. Hope, let me read these directors first, and then I know who you're gonna pick. I don't even know why we're spending time on this category, but so best director nominees are Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan, hint hint wink wink, Hope's favorite director, Get Out, Jordan Peele, Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig, Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson, The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro. Hope, who do you think's going to win in this category?
That's the funny thing. It's like any other year, whether it was with Interstellar.
Okay, I think we're gonna agree.
Okay, if it was Interstellar, if it was Inception, I wouldn't say Dark Knight Rises, but I would say Dark Knight. Like I would be like for sure Christopher Nolan. But for me, I can't go in my heart. Like in my mind, I really feel like they're gonna give it just for the fact that what we talked about with Get Out, like it was just that type of movie.
I feel sorry. I feel so sorry for Christopher Nolan right now.
Exactly.
Like, he should have released that movie another year. And he picks and chooses when he releases his films. And I think when we were first looking at the landscape, they've done this the last 2 years in Hollywood, where the year just looks horrible. Like, I don't really see anyone winning an Oscar this year because for some reason, they've been releasing all of the Oscar-worthy content at the last hour. It's been extremely late for a lot of these films. So either Chris needs to start releasing his movies later, or he just needs to have some type of strategy on when he chooses to release his projects. But yeah, like Get Out, Jordan Peele. Only reason I'm holding a reservation for Best Picture is because I think they'll give him Best Director. Mm-hmm. So if you remember when we were in the Best Picture category, I'm like, it should be, Get Out. But if it's not, it's because he might sweep some of the other categories. So they want to make it, an equal playing field. So I'm not sure it'll walk away with both, but I do think it has the better chance to walk away with, I do think it has the best opportunity to walk away with multiple awards, but mainly this category. I think this film got a lot of people to think and ask questions. I think the voters have to consider the impact that this film had. It had the biggest splash at the box office, right? Culturally, it was a phenomenon. Creatively, the list goes on, right? So this film showed Hollywood how to make a movie. Like, no, you don't gotta You don't need actors that people know about. You don't need, huge set pieces. You don't need none of that. You just need a great script, great director, and some nice imagination. That's like real old school. So look at the list. If I were to tell you a year ago that the dude from the comedy sketch show is going to be in the same breath as Paul Thomas Anderson, Christopher Nolan, Guillermo del Toro, you would think I was high. And that just shows you what a year could do. Like anybody could like fix their career and put it in the right, trajectory. So we agree on that. So animated, let's jump into that. So with animated feature, here are the best animated feature. Here are your nominations: The Boss Baby, The Breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand, Loving Vincent. I think this is one of the weakest years in animation, in my opinion. So you say you agree with me, right?
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, even when you look at the number one, I'm not really sure, but I would imagine like the highest grossing film internationally was Coco, right?
Not 100.
Even if you don't have the numbers right in front of you, I think it's safe to say that Coco was the highest grossing film internationally.
Yeah.
From a domestic perspective, it's like I looked at this like last week. It's the third worst performing Pixar film domestically. Internationally, like it's still gonna finish off the year as one of the highest grossing films, but I don't know. That's weak when like this film is in the same category as your dinosaur and stuff. I'm like, wow. I just recently saw it, at a dollar theater. I'm like, oh, this film was actually pretty decent. It just, I don't know if they just didn't market it right or something, but I had no interest to see it. But nonetheless, whenever there's an animated feature, when you bet against Disney, you're asking for it. It's like a suicide attempt. So I'm actually going to go with Coco. It's tough to beat Disney in this category, and I think this year was the weakest year in animated films. You agree with me? So in order to beat Pixar or Disney, you have to stand out if you want to defeat the GOAT, aka Pixar, BKA Disney, and no one stood out. So I do think Boss Baby has gotten kind of like a life after the theater because of the whole Netflix thing. It's been on trending for like the last 2 months. But other than that, I'm like, it's going to be Coco. I think it's not even a competition.
Yeah, I would have to piggyback on what you're saying because I've been struggling with animated. I've never been a big animated fan, but this year was just really bad where like I don't even think I went to the theater for any of them. So it was just like been difficult for me.
Yeah, but when we talk about snubs, you know what? I got to take some of that back. Because when you look at the 2017 animated movies, I'm surprised the Lego Batman movie wasn't even on this.
I agree, but it was just, even that, it's just like I can't even argue because it was one of those movies where I just forgot. Like it was just like I enjoyed it, but then after that, it was just like, like it was thinking throughout the rest of the year.
It came out too early in the year. That's what it was. But I always tell people that, that movie is extremely forgettable. And people thought I was hating. I'm like, no, it's a good movie. But when you look at what the first Lego movie did, both of them had, but Lego Batman movie just was released too early in the year. I think it was February. So what it should have did was just more promotion or something towards the back half for people to remember it. I'm pretty sure people forgot it existed.
Yeah. That's like, trust me, because I forgot it existed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that happened as well, like the voting and all that is concerned.
All right, so now let's get into screenplays, I believe. So for the best original screenplay, for best adapted, we're not going to really discuss it on the show, but it would be nice if Logan won. I would think that was just phenomenal. I think that would do a lot for the comic book movie category.
Same here.
And it would also motivate studios to do more pictures like that. For some of their projects that they've been struggling with like a Fantastic Four, with like a, what is it? The Nicolas Cage stuff that sucks.
Ghost Rider?
I almost said Ghostface Killer.
Ghost
Yeah.
Shout out to Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with.
Yo, they should make a Wu-Tang movie. That would be dope.
Nah, but what I want to see those properties like that where studios are struggling to hold the rights to, just do smaller pictures like that, to where like Logan, where it's like you could take a nice adaptation and you could really make an Oscar push. Like some of that stuff translates well onto the big screen from the comics, but it's just people like studios won't do them because they're like, well, we're not gonna really make money if we kill Wolverine. But I'm like, nah, forget about the money. Look at the art. That Logan will stand the test of time. And I said this, we were comparing Logan to another film. I was like, the thing is, people aren't going to remember. Like I said, I felt like Logan was overrated. But when I look back 10, 20, 25 years, a lot of the movies that came out this year, I'm not going to remember. I'm just going to remember Logan. Oh, that's the year Logan came out. So I do think it's going to be it's an instant classic. And sometimes I'm going to have 25 years to enjoy it and have it grow on me. But yeah, so that's enough about adapted screenplay, but it sounded like you had kind of like a rebuttal, and then we'll move on to original. So what was that?
I just think Disaster Artist is going to win, given the fact that they had to snub James Franco given the sexual harassment charges against them, and I feel like they want to reward that movie somehow. A lot
of ladies make those votes too, and I think that's the reason it won't win. A lot of people aren't able to separate the art from the actual personal, right? And I think last year taught them that lesson. I personally, I love the Lethal Weapon franchise, but you know how people hate Mel Gibson because he allegedly hated black people at one point. The Jews
rant and stuff.
Yeah. I love the Cosby Show. Like the reason I went to college was because of Different World. The reason I became, I'm in a fraternity is because of Different World. The reason I was so big on family. I got married early. I got married at 22. I started my family early. I started my family at 22. It's because like I just wanted to, copy off of what I saw on TV. I'm like, nah, I want a Cosby Show family. Not all that stuff that he did in real life. It doesn't tarnish the art for me. I'm like, well, I was raised by Dr. Huxtable, not Bill Cosby, so they're two separate. However, voters don't think like that. When they voted for Manchester by the Sea last year, they received a lot of backlash, and I think that's the reason why you've seen, I don't know, the way that they've marketed the Oscars this season may be the first time that I watch it, only because I'm like, wow, you got Tiffany Haddish presenting, because they weren't nominated for original screenplay. I like that. And then you also have all this diversity within the categories. All this diversity within the categories. I like that. And it's like, wow, I think the Oscars So White hashtag didn't do as much damage as last year's Manchester by the Sea winning. So that's the reason why a lot of voters are going to be like, nope, last year we voted for your bro, for Ben Affleck's bro, and we got ripped to shreds. This year, James Franco is which brother is it?
Yeah, James Franco. Yep.
Yeah. So this year, James Franco is in the headlines for the wrong reason. So it's like, nah, he might not get those votes. So that's the only reason why I don't think that they're gonna give it to the Disaster Artist. But me personally, I don't think that's fair. I think you should be able to separate the art from the personal stuff. Because remember, when you read those credits at the end, there's a lot of people that put a lot of work and effort into this, and to have one person or allegations of one person ruin that, I think that's unfair to the rest of the team. But let's move on to original screenplay. You got The Big Sick by Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani. You got Get Out, Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig. The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro, Vanessa Taylor. 3 Billboards, Martin McDonough. It would be nice to see Jordan win this one, because that's on that.
Now, for me, like,
go ahead.
The reason why I'm gonna go the other way is only because, like, I feel like they're gonna win Best Picture and Best Director. So I feel like
you going with 3 Billboards.
I was gonna go with Lady Bird, just given the buzz that they got. Like, I don't want it to be completely shut out, because remember with me, like I have I, Tonya winning, and I have even though I have the actress winning for Best Supporting, like, I feel like they want some more record.
You're hedging your bet right now.
Exactly, basically. So
yeah,
I want Lady Bird to.
I'm not mad at that. I just feel like, man, they did that script could have been chaotic, because I told you, I said, if you're not a person of color, it's the way they marketed Get Out. It could have been so easy to look at that film as being racist. So the creative part was the script to like really make people understand that Butterfly Project, they weren't calling white people racist as a whole. It's just some crazy folks, and they were crazy, and it was just like, wow. Because when I talk to people about that movie, it's not just black people, it's not just Asian people, it's not just Hispanic people. It's like everyone seems to like that film, and I'm like, wow, I'm surprised this film didn't alienate any group. So I'm just hoping that they don't do a sequel. So they'll find a way to ruin that quick. But now I'm going to give it to Jordan Peele. Once again, I do not think he'll sweep all these categories. So I'm going to be wrong in some of my estimates, but I would like to see him win this category, especially because the guy went from writing comedy and is showing his versatility as a writer. And I'm like, wow, that's just motivating to a lot of the up and coming writers out there. So shout out to Jordan. But all in all, we may be wrong on this. I really want to hear what you guys think. So feel free to let us know in the comment section or hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Just to let us know what your Oscar snubs are. Anybody that you felt was left out. And let us know some of your Oscar predictions. So guys, it's about that time. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Before you leave, if you like what you heard, share it with a friend on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you go for your podcast. Don't let this be the last time we hear from you or you hear from us. Support the show and become a sponsor by visiting our Patreon at www.patreon.com/CouchTomatoFilms. Join us next week and check out the show notes on where to find us weekly. It's Couch Tomato Films on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and Couch Tomato Film on Twitter. Other than that, peace.